Okay, so let's start off with a sphere. Now, I know what you're thinking. You'd be like, oh, I'm going to make a sphere. But if you look at a sphere, it has these poles on the top and bottom, and that can make sculpting a little bit harder. So I'm going to delete that. Here's another way of making a better sphere. Just make a cube. Go down and put a subdivision surface. Let's go with 2. There we go. Let's also put a cast on it just to make sure it is circular. Go ahead and apply them. All right, so now let's talk about sculpting for one little bit. So we can come into here and we can go to sculpt, which will make a sculpt, or we can come over to this layout up here and go to the sculpt layout. And it's a little bit better of a way of sculpting. You're not having to deal with the grid or anything like that. Also, you can come into here and we can change the mat cap. Let's go with green. So now we have this green mat cap. If we click these are not going to help. So I always just keep it at the standard viewport shading. And let's talk about sculpting. I'm only going to show you several tools because I don't want to go too far with the beginner sculpting thing. One is you notice that the cursor makes 2 marks. So whatever I do on one side will happen on the other. See that? So it's mirrored through. And that symmetry is over here. And you can see that it's turned on symmetry in the X. So if it's not on, I would turn it on. So the next thing that I want to talk about is resim and dynotypo. So resim, if I hit resim, this voxel size will get calculated throughout the whole mesh. And now we have this much for a mesh. If I go to dynotypo, hit OK. Now this is a relative detail. What I want to do is I always like to work in constant detail. So if I hit 3, you can see it's making geometry. Whereas the other one creates the geometry. And sometimes I'll go back and forth between these two. And if I go up, say if I go to like 22, you can see it's real fine geometry that gets made. Okay. So those are the difference between the two. One creates a geometry and another one makes the geometry as you sculpt. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm not a big fan of dynotypo in Blender. It's not like it kind of works like ZBrush's. I like ZBrush. Like I live in ZBrush's dynotypo, and I think that maybe has hindered my liking of it in ZBrush or in Blender. So the tools that we're going to use standard draw. We'll use some pinch. We'll use some plane scrape, snake hook, and a deform. So the snake hook brush, right? To make your brushes bigger and smaller, you're going to hit bracket, lower bracket, or I would say left bracket for smaller, right bracket for bigger. It's just like the brushes in Photoshop. So the snake hook will actually try and make geometry. So if I was, let me go back to dynotypo. So if I grab this, it will actually make geometry. Whereas the move tool will just pull the geometry, okay? So those are the difference between the two. And typically when I have a lot more geometry, I'll start using the snake hook. And I could use the snake hook near. So if we just start pulling things out, I'm actually gonna turn off dynotypo and I'm gonna use remesh for a lot of the blocking. So I'm just gonna block some of this stuff up. And I'll just remesh as I go through. If you hold shift down, you'll smooth. Here are the smooth tools right here. And I'm gonna turn the strength of the smooth down, somewhere around there. Okay. So let's grab our snake hook. And I'm just gonna start forming. And I can just hit the remesh when I want some more geometry. And we're just going to pull. So I'm just going to block something out real quick. One other thing that I want to show you guys is if we look, let me just smooth this up here. So if we want to add something, so if we want to add, say, an arm, a limb, something like maybe horns or something like that. If I go back to object mode, let's see, we'll make horns. So I'll put a cone. Let's scale this down. I just stick something like that. Now, we probably want 2 horns. So what we're gonna do is come over to here. Let's add a mirror modifier. And what's the mirror? We'll mirror from this. So there it is there. We'll apply that. Now we have 2 horns. Click on this guy. Let's add a boolean. What are we gonna bool? We're gonna bool these guys and we're gonna union it. So now it's one mesh. Go ahead and hit apply. The originals are still there. We can either hide them or delete them, whatever you want to do. I'll just hide them. So let's grab this. Let's go back into the sculpt mode. Okay. And in the sculpt mode, we could just remesh that real quick. And now we have little horns. Okay. Now, if you notice that this is starting to really just jag this up, we wanted a little bit more resolution to get those horns in. So I'm going to come here, and now this one works different from the constant detail for the Dynatype. So let's do like 0.05. This is double the amount of what we have. And if I hit remesh, bam, now we have a nice little thing there. Let's start doing some of this chin area. And then we're making, I don't know, some sort of little alien bust that's going on here. So I'm going to switch over to my tablet. If you don't have a tablet, you can totally do this on the mouse. It just takes a little longer. All right, I'm going to grab the pinch and let's start kind of defining a jaw area. Let's lower this up. Start defining a mouth area. So I'm going to go back to standard, and if I hit this minus button, I can actually start cutting in. So let's do this. Let's remesh that. There we go. Smooth some of that in there. Let's see. How about this guy is like a Cyclops? Let's do a Cyclops. Let's go back to object mode. And I'll just make a regular sphere for the eyeball. Let's scale this down. Something like that. Maybe just a little bit back. We'll just bring this back. So we'll develop off of this. Okay. So let's go back to sculpt mode. Now, if this is in sculpt mode, I'm not going to touch that eyeball at all. So if we look, you see that it doesn't do anything to that area. Turn this to add. Start adding some detail. And the idea behind this, why I'm not working at a super high res right away, is because I don't want to get caught up in the detail. So I am just sculpting out, blocking it out one at a time. Grab the snake hook. And this guy's looking pretty cute. Just reforming it. no. Let's see, this guy probably wants to be around here. Let's just bring this up. No idea what this character. Normally you don't want to just, unless you're just, you know, whipping something out and you're just trying new things. Typically you want a good sketch of your character before you do it. Sometimes though, sometimes you do work like this, and that's how it is. Okay, so let's just move this. Again, just laying it out. Let's use the grab tool. Let's grab this pinch. Just start pinching this area up right there. And it might be time for more detail. Okay, so let's dive back into this detail. And instead of 0.5, let's go one level lower. And let's just get some of this stuff. Kind of want those horns to have a little protrusion area out of the skin. And same thing with the eyeball. Go. Let's put this in here. Let's take this down one more level. You can see the computer thinking about it just a little bit more when we do this. Okay. So I'm just hitting this with a smooth. Just running through a pinch in this area. There we go. And maybe grab some clay tools. Here, So this is one of those times where I'll probably go back to Dinotype just to get some of this area refined. So I'll click on Dinotype, and resolution of 22 should be good. So I'll just start. Oh, maybe not. 22 is not good. Let's go to, take it to 40 maybe? Yeah, that's okay. Go. Something around there. Let's actually make a slight crease here. There we are. It's looking like a little cute character. Alright, let's turn Dino-type off. And let's actually remesh that. And we're going to take our remesher to another level of detail. So wait for it. And this will probably be the last level of detail. And now it's like full clay. Just gonna smooth some of this out. And let's fix this area. Let's turn up the strength of this. I'm also going to just hit everything with a smooth. And you can see how nice and smooth this model becomes. Deal with some lips there in just a minute. All right, and let's just all right. I didn't do a good job there. Let's actually undo some of that. So I'm gonna grab that. This is more what I want it to do. And right now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of cleaning up these areas. I'm going to turn up my smooth a little bit. That's looking cute. Okay, let's fix these lips. Or I should say, let's make these lips. Grab this shelf. Just kind of down. Just fix some of this move. Let's do something like, we'll just pull this down. Trying to get a better smile. Let's just get a smile to that. Let's fix some of this jawline. Now I'm just showing you, you know, just some sculpting techniques. You know, we'll do other sculpting tutorials, but this is just kind of getting started. How you get started. And maybe I'll cut some of this away. Some of this looks like it needs to get cut out. There we go. Little rim back on the lips, but yeah, something like that. Look, I got a nice little character. Nothing special, but you know, it conveys a message. Maybe we'll fix these. This guy right here. Let's just. Gonna use some polish just to get some flatter areas here. All right, now that looks pretty good. Now, of course, you would send this off for retopology. Maybe just smooth this just a little bit there. And that's about it. So here's a render of it retopologized with the texture on it. All right, so that was just a simple sculpt. Now, if you guys are interested in retopologizing that character and rendering it out, just let me know. Put it down in the description. I'll also link retopology tutorials for you. I think Dicko has like the best one for like face right now, which is pretty good. And if you want any more types of sculpting, let me know. I'm gonna do some zebra sculpting for you guys in just a little bit. I'm also gonna go back and finish that scene that we started last week. All right, see you later.